very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. To bring you the news this evening, I am Steven Machado.
And I am Hashini Patirana. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Ask for Eslon Polygon by name.
How is the Middle East conflict impacting global oil markets? Sri Lanka's foreign reserves sufficient for fuel and imports, says CBSL governor. Iran appoints Ayatollah Khamenei's son as new supreme leader. Ceylon Electricity Board abolished. 6 new companies take over. Continuous paddy purchasing for Maha season.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Ask for Eslon Polygon by name.
On to your top story tonight. As the Middle East conflict enters its 10th day, global crude oil prices have surged to record levels today. However, by this afternoon, prices began to ease following the decision by a group of 7 industrialized nations to increase their oil supply.
However, gas prices are surging across the United States as the fallout from the US-Israeli attack on Iran continues to choke global oil supplies. How is the escalating Middle East conflict influencing the global energy market? This analysis examines that impact.
Ten days after the conflict triggered by attacks carried out by Israel and the United States on Iran, global oil prices have surged sharply. When markets opened this morning, crude oil prices surpassed the $100 mark for the first time since 2022. In the London Brent market, the price of a barrel of crude climbed to $119.50, marking an increase of $24.96 within the past 24 hours. Now, this was a rise of 27%. In the United States, West Texas Intermediate, or also known as the WTI crude, recorded a price of $119.48 per barrel this morning, while WTI prices rose by $25.72, or in a percentage 28.3% over the past 24 hours. Now, meanwhile, Nigeria's Murban crude was priced at $112.20 today, reflecting an increase of nearly 13%. Foreign media reports that this situation amounts to a record single-day increase in global crude oil prices. However, reports also note that finance ministers of the group of 7 industrialized nations are currently examining possible measures to address the volatility in the oil market. In coordination with the International Energy Agency, the G7 is considering a coordinated release of oil reserves held by member countries as part of a unified response plan. According to international media, the ministers have convened a meeting today to discuss these measures. Now, as a result of the tensions in the Middle East, global oil supply has been disrupted due to restrictions on maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Before the outbreak of the Middle East conflict, around 100 vessels passed through the strait daily. However, last Saturday, only 3 ships made the passage, and just one of them was an oil tanker. At present, hundreds of oil-carrying vessels, like you see in the map here, in the Gulf or in the Persian Gulf region, remain stranded due to the ongoing tensions surrounding the Strait of Hormuz. Bloomberg reports that in response to the escalating crisis, Saudi Arabia has begun releasing part of its oil stocks to the spot market. Ordinarily selling its crude under long-term contracts, Saudi Arabia has now released 4.6 million barrels of Arab Extra Light, Arab heavy and Arab light crude into the open market due to the rising risks, according to foreign media reports. Meanwhile, amid the ongoing conflict, major oil-producing nations in the Middle East are reportedly making substantial cuts to their production. In Iraq's southern oil fields, production, which stood at 4.3 million barrels per day before the conflict, has now dropped by 70%, falling to 1.3 million barrels per day. Both Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates have officially announced reductions in their oil output as well. Analysts warn that with storage facilities filling up, other regional producers are also likely to adopt similar measures in the coming days. Now, the question amidst all these tensions is, how are countries around the world responding to this crisis? Are they stockpiling large quantities of oil, and is such large-scale stockpiling even possible? Let's take a look at the situation in India. According to ANI News, India holds more than 250 million barrels of crude oil and petroleum products. Now, NDTV, quoting an official statement released today, reports that concerns about India having reserves sufficient for only 25 days have been addressed by the government, which clarified that current stock levels can support demand for a significantly longer period. Now let's go to Australia. In Australia, the Energy Minister has explained that the country holds 36 days of petrol, 34 days of diesel and 32 days of aviation fuel. Overall, these countries maintain oil reserves that can last for roughly 1 month. Many countries are now turning their attention to alternative markets where oil can still be sourced. Bloomberg reports that Reliance Industries, India's largest private petroleum refining company, is exploring opportunities to purchase Russian oil. Foreign media also note that considering India's energy needs, the US Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control has issued a special license permitting India to buy Russian crude. Under this approval, Indian companies are allowed to purchase Russian oil shipped before the 5th March 2026, with transactions permitted until the 4th April 2026. Additionally, foreign reports say around 15 million barrels of Russian oil are currently stored aboard vessels in the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal near India, while another 7 million barrels are located near Singapore. Now, several countries also maintain strategic petroleum reserves for emergency use. The world's largest such reserve is held by the United States with a capacity of 714 million barrels. Although China has not disclosed official figures, it is believed to hold massive reserves sufficient for more than 90 days of domestic consumption. Now, moving on to Japan. Japan maintains about 500 million barrels, enough for over 200 days of usage. What about Sri Lanka? Based on existing storage facilities, Sri Lanka currently holds reserves sufficient for 40 days of petrol, 33 days of diesel and 49 days of aviation fuel. Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, speaking during the Asia 2050 summit in Thailand, said that the situation today is completely different from the 2022-2023 economic crisis. He emphasized Sri Lanka now has strong foreign exchange reserves and therefore the risk of returning to an economic crisis type scenario does not exist under present conditions.
From our point of view, I think oil, obviously as oil importing country, there is a significant impact through high oil prices to inflation as well as balance of payment. So from the inflation point of view, we are right now at a good position where inflation, current inflation, end of last month was 1.6% compared to 5%, the target that central bank has to deliver. There's a significant good space for us to be able to absorb that kind of price shock into domestic inflation. That's where we are in a much better position. I don't have a kind of threshold saying that this is the level, but we are well prepared compared with where we were in the past. For example, in crisis, we had 70% inflation. If we came in that kind of situation, we are in a difficult situation. But compared to 5% inflation, 1.6, good space for us to absorb that shock, but still it will have an adverse implication. A small economy like us, relying on imported oil, obviously this has an impact on both balance of payment and inflation. But I think we can manage that because we have built buffers, both external reserves compared to where we were in 2022-2023. We are now over 7 billion from the almost zero levels. So that has a sufficient buffer from the external sector, and also we allow exchange rate to reflect part of the shock. Usually in our inflation targeting framework, exchange rate is the shock absorber. We let absorb the shock into the exchange rate so that have a positive demand impact, as well as cost recovery pricing well embedded into the system. Price will take care of the demand factor and obviously the impact on the economy. Growth probably some slowdown if that continues, but we can manage the situation well prepared this time than earlier.
I guess the question is how long your buffer will last. What if the Iran war lasts longer than 4 to 5 weeks? How comfortable are you with it?
That's our major concern, and our concern of our part of the world is that that is going to prolong, especially major areas like petroleum prices, tourism, the cost of freight, and also the supply chains. And blocking all the supply chains is an important and very adverse impact will have global economy. In that situation, I think we all need to prepare for that. So how long that's going to prevail, I'm sure countries who are involved in the conflict probably understand the adverse impact of this kind of thing prolonging for a longer period have adverse impact on their own economies, not only for economies like us. So we have to have different situation then. We should preparing for any adverse outcome and getting ready and building buffers, both monetary policy, fiscal policy, and external policy buffers.
What would prompt fuel shortages and an economic crisis in Sri Lanka? We've seen that before.
Yeah. This time it's a global supply chain issue, but we don't have an issue of sufficient foreign exchange available for us to buy petrol or any other important components for us to have an economy going forward. So this is a different issue. So this time, I think, like any other country, we have sufficient resources, but it's a question of external factors which will block or restrict the supply of petroleum and any other thing to our economies.
Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe has said that Sri Lanka aims to combine the 5th and 6th reviews of its IMF program and seek executive board approval, quote-unquote, most probably somewhere in May, noting that the 5th review, initially slated for December, was postponed due to the economic impact of Cyclone Ditwa.
We know that Sri Lanka was supposed to have talks with the IMF. Where are you with that review, and when are talks likely to resume?
Now, the 5th review was supposed to be completed in December, but because we had this climate change cyclone had an impact in the economy. As a result, this was postponed. And what we are hoping now is to negotiation with the IMF to complete and combine 5th review and 6th review together, and most probably somewhere in May we should be able to go to the executive board of the IMF and get the approval for both review together, so that we will catch up the time and get the disbursement and also move forward with this very important Exim Fund facility with the IMF as a key pillar of the economic stability, macroeconomic stability, and also growth going forward.
Might you have to review the program, the IMF program, because of the conflict in Iran?
I'm sure, because IMF program is always basically there's enough flexibility for us to negotiate for the current circumstances and the outlook. So what we think now, compared to last year December outlook we had seen, is different now. So firstly, domestic impact on the cyclone, and secondly, the global impact on the external demand. With those two, obviously, we will negotiate and discuss with the IMF how best we can accurately predict the outlook, and as a result, we need to revise some of the targets. And we are in the process of that negotiation. End of this month, we are expecting submission will be in Sri Lanka to complete those two reviews together, and then we're hoping that with that flexibility, and we will be able to continue the program with some flexibility for us to be able to achieve those targets.
Iran's Assembly of Experts has chosen Mojtaba Khamenei to replace his father Ayatollah Ali Khamenei as the country's new supreme leader. Newsfirst Vinajit Senagaratna brings us the latest.
9 days after the airstrikes that claimed the life of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran has named its successor. Now this choice marks a historic turning point for the Islamic Republic, as the clerical assembly moves toward a figure long known for his silence, yet feared for his shadow. The 56-year-old Mojtaba Khamenei is the third supreme leader since the 1979 revolution. Now, something significant about this leader is that unlike his predecessors, he has never held a public office, never granted an interview, and has rarely been seen in the clerical robes that he began wearing only in 1999.
Mojtaba Khamenei, 56 years old, was regarded as exerting influence behind the scenes and has been accused of having hands in presidential elections, commanding the Basij militia, and maintaining close ties with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Despite reports and speculation about his considerable influence, he has not held any official position in the Islamic Republic. In 2019, Mojtaba Khamenei was sanctioned by the United States as part of a group of individuals, quote, who are appointees of or have acted for or on behalf of Iran's then Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, end quote.
The Middle East has reached a perilous flashpoint tonight as Iran names a new Supreme Leader amidst a widening regional war. Now, from the heart of Beirut to the oil fields of Saudi Arabia, the conflict triggered by the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has escalated into a multi-front battle, leaving hundreds dead and global energy security in the balance.
Iranian state media said the leadership of Iran's armed forces had pledged allegiance to Mojtaba Khamenei, and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said in a statement they are ready to follow the new supreme leader. Iran's security chief Ali Larijani said on state TV after the announcement that Mojtaba Khamenei could lead the country under the current sensitive conditions and called for unity around the new leader. Mojtaba's appointment will likely draw the ire of US President Donald Trump, who said on Sunday that Washington should have a say in the selection. He told ABC News, quote, if he doesn't get approval from us, he's not going to last long, end quote. Israel, ahead of the announcement, threatened to target whoever was chosen. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi told NBC's Meet the Press that Iran will not permit foreign meddling in its internal matters and will never accept unconditional surrender, directly rebuffing remarks by US President Donald Trump about influencing Iran's leadership transition.
All right, well, President Trump says he should pick the new leader of Iran. Will Iran allow President Trump to have any role in picking its new leader?
We allow nobody to interfere in our domestic affairs. This is up to the Iranian people to elect their new leader. They have already elected the Assembly of Experts, and the Assembly of Experts will do the job. It is only the business of the Iranian people and nobody else's business.
President Trump says there will be no deal with Iran except for, quote, unconditional surrender. Will Iran agree to unconditional surrender for the sake of bringing this war to an end, Mr. Foreign Minister?
Well, this is what he asked previous time, last year in June, that when Israel started to attack us, President Trump used the same phrase, unconditional surrender. That was the tweet he made. And that didn't happen. We resisted, and after 12 days, Israelis asked for unconditional ceasefire. So we never give up, we never surrender, and we continue to resist as long as it takes. We continue to defend ourselves, and we are defending our territory, our people, and our dignity. And our dignity is not for sale.
British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer engaged with local community members about the government's response to the Middle East conflict's impact on British citizens.
Were you able to begin to mend it in your phone call yesterday? And also, can you just reassure people that the government will have their backs on energy? Thank you.
I had a telephone call with President Trump yesterday talking about the conflict in Iran and the region and what we were doing together. And that was important in terms of the ongoing discussion. But the discussion with our US counterparts is happening at all levels, all of the time, every single day. That's the nature of the relationship. What I would say is this, is that decisions about what's in Britain's best interests are decisions for the Prime Minister of Britain. And that's how I've approached all of the questions and all the decisions that I've had to make.
Russian President Vladimir Putin sent a congratulatory telegram to Mojtaba Khamenei on his appointment as Iran's supreme leader. According to the statement, Putin reiterated Moscow's support for Tehran, saying Russia will remain a reliable partner to Iran. The previous supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, had held the position for 37 years. A joint US-Israel airstrike on the 28th of February hit his Tehran home, killing him. He was 86 years old.
As Tehran transitions to new leadership, the question remains whether this new era will bring a tactical shift or a further descent into all-out regional war.
In more local news, Sri Lanka has officially brought 6 new state-owned companies into operation from today, following the abolition of the Ceylon Electricity Board, which had functioned for more than 50 years.
The Ceylon Electricity Board Act No. 17 of 1969 was rendered invalid at midnight yesterday, marking the end of the single institution that had long been responsible for electricity generation, transmission and distribution in the country for more than 50 years. From today onwards, those responsibilities shift to 6 newly established companies. Why was this change made? For decades, the Ceylon Electricity Board carried a significant debt burden and numerous issues repeatedly surfaced regarding its operations. Major concerns included emergency power purchases and a lack of transparency in procurement processes. During the 2022-23 economic crisis, the strain within the CEB also became a burden that the public had to endure. Although successive governments attempted to restructure the CEB over the years, none of those efforts succeeded due to various challenges. However, with the introduction of new legislation, the CEB is being restructured from today. Responsibility for power generation, transmission, distribution and system control will now be divided among 6 newly formed companies. Electricity Generation Lanka Private Limited, National Transmission Network Service Providers Private Limited, National System Operator Private Limited, Electricity Distribution Lanka Private Limited, CEB Employees Fund Private Limited, Energy Ventures Lanka Private Limited. These are the 6 new companies that will take over the functions previously carried out by the CEB.
ප්‍රධාන සමාගම් 4ක් තියෙනවා අනු සමාගම් 2ක් තියෙනවා. ඒතර ලංකා විදුලි මණ්ඩලයේ සතු ජනන බලාගාර සියල්ලක්ම අද ඉඳන් EGL කියන සමාගමට එනවා. ඒ වගේම ලෙකෝ ඇරෙන්න අපේ රටේ පුරාම තියෙන විදුලි
There are 4 main companies and 2 subsidiary companies. All power plants owned by the CEB will from today be transferred to the company known as EGL. Similarly, except for LECO, all electricity distribution areas across the country will be assigned to the company called EDL. The transmission system consists of 2 components. The transmission lines and related infrastructure will be transferred to the company known as NTNSP. Meanwhile, system planning, procurement and in the future competitive generation as well as the categorized supply of electricity to consumers will be handled by NSO, a company that is 100% state-owned. These are the 4 main companies. All employees of the CEB will be allocated across these 4 companies. Currently, there are 2 separate funds for the employees, the pension fund and the provident fund. Ownership of both the funds will be transferred to the 5th company, named CEB Employees Fund Private Limited, which is fully owned by the Treasury. This ensures that employee pension funds and provident funds remain 100% secure. Additionally, during the restructuring of a large institution like this, certain minor functions may not fully fall under the main entities. For such tasks, we have established a 6th company. All 6 companies are entirely government-owned. From today onwards, all electricity purchases will take place strictly through competitive procurement. Transparency will increase because 4 separate companies, along with private companies, will enter into power purchase agreements, power sales agreements and transmission service agreements. The level of transparency within a single institution will be significantly enhanced through intercompany competition and clear separation of functions.
පද්ධතිය සඳහා තෙන ගිවිසුම් ගතීමක් සිද්ධ වෙනවා. තනි ආයතනයක් ඇතුලේ තියෙන අර විනිවිද පේන භාවය වඩාත් වැඩි වෙනවා. වෙන වෙනම සමාගම් අතර ඒ විදිහට අපිට තරඟකාරීත්වය විනිවිද භාවය වැඩි කරගන්න.
What is the benefit to the public from creating these new companies.
We want to assure the public that although the CEB was abolished today, there was absolutely no disruption to electricity supply. Power continued uninterrupted. From tomorrow, the name the public will encounter as electricity consumers is EDL. So instead of CEB, EDL will be the company providing electricity. This also means greater transparency through competitive generation.
News First with the people.
අයිවන් සතුටින් ඉන්නේ වයරින් කරලා වයරින් කිරුවේ ඉස්ලොන් පොලිකොන් යොදලා.
For your safety and the protection of the wires used in networking, electricity and AC wiring, Eslon Polygon cable trunking, suitable for white walls, prevent spread of fire, double lock technology. Ask for Eslon Polygon by name.
Find everything you need for your home, office, business and factory. Visit b2b.lk Marketplace.
On to some sports news. In a blockbuster night in the world of cricket, India have been crowned 2026 T20 World Cup champions after empowering New Zealand by 96 runs in a one-sided final. India became the first team in the world to win the T20 World Cup 3 times, entering the record books yesterday. Here is how Captain Sirasa Yadav celebrated the victory. Not just a team, a family. Not just a trophy, a dream for a billion of us. Proud to present my India. A huge thank you to everyone standing beside me. You are the pillars to my strength. Sirasa said it was an honor to represent India. The Indian team celebrated their victory yesterday at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad, carrying that pride with them.
The way we play T20 cricket, that has asserted their dominance now.
Former cricket captains Kapil Dev, MS Dhoni and Rohit Sharma, who previously delivered World Cup titles for India, were present to witness the triumph. As India claimed yet another Cricket World Cup, the Sri Lankan team exited the tournament after losing all their matches in the Super 8 stage.
New Zealand, a job well done, very
For over 10 years, Sri Lanka has failed to qualify even for the semi-finals of an ICC-organized tournament. Who destroyed Sri Lanka's cricket to the point where a nation united in hope cannot win a single match. We have consistently exposed those responsible for this downfall. What is Sri Lanka's plan for the 2027 ODI World Cup, scheduled in South Africa from October to November next year? Who are the players we have identified as capable of forming a team strong enough to compete for victory? For over a decade, Sri Lanka cricket has suffered from frequent changes, players being shuffled repeatedly and foreign coaches joining just days before major tournaments, a pattern that has crippled the sport. Shouldn't Sri Lanka cricket authorities now understand the extent of the damage this has caused? The people of this country are waiting to see when the promise made by the sports minister and the cabinet spokesperson to strengthen Sri Lanka's cricket will finally bear fruit. Day by day, delays worsen the situation and push the public's expectations of victory even further away.
Meanwhile, former South African cricketer Gary Kirsten has been appointed the new head coach of the Sri Lanka national men's cricket team with effect from the 15th of April 2026.
Sri Lanka Cricket announced that Gary Kirsten will serve a 2-year term, which will run until the 14th of April 2028. Kirsten enjoyed a distinguished international career representing South Africa before moving into coaching. He previously served as head coach of the India national cricket team from 2008 to 2011 and later coached South Africa from 2011 to 2013. During his tenure with India, Kirsten guided the team to victory at the 2011 ICC
Cricket World Cup. He also led South Africa to become the #1 ranked team across all formats of international cricket in 2013. Sri Lanka cricket says Kirsten will play a key role in guiding the national team's preparation and campaign for the 2027 ICC Cricket World Cup, which will be hosted by South Africa, Namibia and Zimbabwe. The appointment forms part of Sri Lanka cricket's broader effort to revamp the structure of its national high-performance centre and strengthen the development of the national team.
The official jersey of St. Peter's College for the upcoming school's rugby season was launched at an event in Colombo today.
The official jersey launching ceremony of St. Peter's College rugby team for the upcoming season was held in Colombo today. The event took place at the main hall of the St. Peter's College with many attendees. Among those present were Principal Reverend Father Rohit Rodrigo, sponsors and members of the college rugby team. The school rugby season is set to begin with a knockout tournament, with Shanuka Pereira leading the St. Peter's College rugby team as captain this year.
We have been preparing since last year for this season. We are expecting to deliver a strong performance. From the senior players to the juniors, everyone has a championship mindset. We believe we can achieve victory this year. The Father Rector gives great support to rugby. Also, our coaching staff and the Rugby Union have been very supportive. I must specially mention Coach Rajiv and also thank Noel sir. St. Peter's College has been playing rugby for more than 90 years. The students of this school continue to carry this tradition forward. They have undergone extensive training for quite some time. I believe that this year the St. Peter's College rugby team will give strong competition to other schools.
ගොඩක් හොඳ සූදානමක් අපිට තියෙනවා preparation එක බැලුවොත් එම physically mentally
The team is very well prepared. They are in good condition both physically and mentally. This is a new experience for me as this is the first time I am serving as the head coach of a school team. Managing school players is a unique experience.
සෝල ගොඩක් හිටියට මේක පාසල් ක්‍රීඩකයන්ව handle කරනවා කියන්නේ වෙනම අත්දැකීමක්.
St. Peter's College will begin their knockout tournament campaign on the 11th of March in Colombo, where they will take on Ananda College in their opening match.
අයිවන් සතුටින් ඉන්නේ වයරින් කරලා වයරින් කිරුවේ ඉස්ලොන් පොලිකොන් යොදලා
For your safety and the protection of the wires used in networking, electricity and AC wiring, S-Lawn Polygon cable trunking, suitable for white walls, prevent spread of fire, double lock technology. Ask for S-Lawn Polygon by name.
Welcome back to the news. Up next is a story straight out of Hollywood's own battlefield. Here is a look.
Dharmayuddha 2 is now being screened in Hollywood, Los Angeles. Veteran actor Bimal Jayakody, who stars in the film, and MTV Chief Executive Officer and Executive Producer of Dharmayuddha 2, Yasarat Kamalsiri, were both present at the screening. They received an enthusiastic welcome from those who attended the premiere.
Especially by coming to a country like this and showcasing a film, we can truly take our cinema industry to the next level. We must bring our cinema to a place where we can win an Oscar. I believe this is a good beginning. By next week, Dharmayuddha 2 will reach around 50 days in theatres. Once we reach that milestone, it will become the highest grossing Sri Lankan film and the most watched film in Sri Lanka. There are legends you simply cannot replace. And at the very top of that list in our cinema, literature and art is Jackson Anthony. It was a privilege to portray a character he once embodied. More than a challenge, it felt like a remarkable opportunity. My only wish was to honor that opportunity, portray the character with dignity and carry forward the love audiences had for Harish Chandra to keep that admiration alive.
The Hollywood screening of Dharmayuddha 2 is organized by the Ganesha Films promotional team. Meanwhile, Dharmayuddha 2 has been screened in the United Kingdom for the past 3 weeks. The UK screenings were facilitated by Ayubo Creations.
Both films were really good. Really good. I think the acting was good. A very unusual story for a Sri Lankan movie. Brilliant. I think we all enjoyed it, especially to see it here in England was excellent. It's a brilliant film.
Okay.
Everyone should watch it.
How's the acting and other things?
Acting superb. So Bimal and the other actors, actresses superb. Everyone's part they have played very well. So they should do more and more films like this anyway.
In addition, Sri Lankan audiences in Birmingham, Newcastle, Southampton, Colchester and Nottingham will also have the opportunity to experience Sri Lanka's biggest cinematic release of the year in modern UK theatres.
Former parliamentarian Sergeant Divas Gunawardena has been remanded until the 24th of this month in connection with an ongoing investigation into assets he is alleged to have unlawfully acquired.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption arrested the former MP today when he arrived to provide a statement. He is accused of earning over 243 million rupees in illegal assets. The Commission stated that with its approval, the Special Investigations Unit took him into custody. After being produced before Colombo Chief Magistrate Asanges Bodhragama today, the suspect, former MP, was ordered to be remanded until the 24th.
Paddy purchasing for the Maha season is now underway. The Paddy Marketing Board says the government has so far purchased 28,000 metric tons of paddy.
The government has allocated 10 billion rupees for Maha season paddy purchases. Nadu paddy is being purchased at 120 rupees per kilogram, Samba paddy at 130 rupees per kilogram and Kiri Samba paddy at 140 rupees per kilogram. Chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board, Manjula Pinnalanda, stated that 122 storage facilities have now been opened across the country. In the Ampara district, which contributes 23% of national paddy production, 52 storage centres have been established, of which 21 are currently operational. Ampara District Secretary Chindakabe Vikramas said 3 additional stores will be opened in the coming days. Meanwhile, purchasing at the operational stores is progressing rapidly. In the Hambantota district, more than 30,000 hectares have been cultivated during the Maha season and 11 stores have been opened for paddy purchasing.
ගොයිය ගැන හිතන ඉඳන් මේ කරන්නේ මේ වැඩ කරන මහත්තුරු නිවාඩු දවසක් නැහැ ඉරිදා සෙන්සුරාදාත් වැඩ පොයටත් වැඩ ගොයි පේන තරමක් මේ මහත්තුරු ගන්නවා ඉතින් අතරමැදියන්ට මේ අහුවෙන්නේ නැති වෙන ගොයි බේරා ගන්න තමයි රජය මේ විදිහට මේ වැඩසටහන කරන්නේ හොඳ වැඩසටහනක් මේක අපි අවංකවම වේලා හොඳට පිරිසුදු හදාගත්තම අපේ මිලට වීටික දෙන්න පුළුවන් අපිට පිටායට දෙනකොට කරදර මැද්දේනේ දෙන්නේ අඩු මුදලට ඉල්ලන්නේ දැන් ගබඩාවට ගන්නකොට පහසුකම් හුඟක් තියෙනවා හරි සාධාරණ මුදලට ගන්නෙනවා.
Chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board, Manjula Pinnalanda, said that since harvesting has begun, the board expects to open paddy stores in the Polonnaruwa district soon. The board is also working to deposit payments into farmers' accounts within 2 days after supplying paddy to state storage facilities.
And with that, we wrap up Prime Time News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.